Hi guys, very warm welcome to today's session. My name is Harsh Chaira and I've got 21 years of IT experience. With that, I've got 3 years of experience as a trainer with Techcanvass. Yeah, I have worked in different roles across my career. Senior BA being one of those, at least for 6 or 7 years. Before we start, any questions that you have? You already know the topic that we are going to cover today, right? Anything else that you want to know? Anyone? All right, seems like we are good. Okay, so I'm assuming that you all have some curiosity around CCBA or CBAP, and that's why you guys are here, right? If you look at the curriculum, the weightage that we have across the knowledge areas, 6 knowledge areas with CCBA and CBAP, you can see it here. So strategy analysis is quite important for CBAP. Expect around 15 questions in CCBA as well. So this is a weightage that we have for CCBA and CBAP. You can find this on Techcanvass website. You can find this on IAB website as well. So strategy analysis is very important. I am sure that everybody knows what's a knowledge area, right? So I'm hoping that you have the basics very clear. The similar kind of tasks that we have, we club them together and we form a knowledge area out of it. So that's what a knowledge area is. Today we are going to talk about strategy analysis. So when you think of strategy analysis, so in 1 hour we are just going to we're just going to brush the overall topic. Okay, we are not going to get into details. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me right there and we'll keep it short. Yeah. So when you think of strategy analysis, think about the business case, think about some kind of product vision that you have, some kind of strategic plan or similar artifact where you have some kind of plan that you want to achieve in several years, maybe more than a year. Yeah. So you have got a long-term vision for that. So think of that. So if you look at BABOK, the definition of, it's not really a definition, but what BABOK says is the purpose is to collaborate with the stakeholders in order to identify a need of strategic or tactical importance. So when you know that you want to achieve something in future, yeah, so there is some kind of need that you have identified and you want to achieve that. What will you do? How will you move from your current state to your future state? Yeah, you can consider your own example here. Right now you are not CCBA or CBAP certified. That's your current state. How will you achieve that future state? What transition states will you go through? What will be the risks involved in that? Do you need any kind of capabilities, extra capabilities? Those kind of things are all part of strategy analysis. So broadly put, when you start a new project, a long-term project, you look at strategy analysis first. Okay. Now, most of the times, if you guys are working in IT already, so you know, right, most of the times when you join a company, we are working on maintenance projects. If you look at BABOK, the maintenance projects, if you have started with maintenance project, that means you're working on solution evaluation. So either you will work on solution evaluation first, or you will work on strategy analysis first. The reason why I'm saying this is a lot of people get confused in BABOK. Should we start with BAPM first? That's the first knowledge area, chapter number 3. But that's not the point. What BABOK clearly mentions in chapter number 1 and 2 is that you can start with any knowledge area or any task, but most likely you are going to start it with strategy analysis or solution evaluation. So let's look at what we have here. So there are 4 tasks that you will perform as a BA. Okay, you'll have to analyze the current state, you'll have to define the future state, you'll have to assess the risks, and then define the change strategy. Now I will be giving you some examples from my own experience. If you want to share your own examples, feel free to do that. Even if you have to extend the session for a couple of minutes, we can do that. Yeah. When you analyze the current state, the reason we are doing this is why this change is needed. Are we not happy with our current state? Understand the reason why an enterprise needs to change some aspect of how it currently works. Why do we need the change? Yeah. Second is define future state. How you are going to look like in future, right? So you can also consider your own example, maybe from your projects or maybe from your journey, the CBAP or CCBA journey. So analyze your current state. You're not CBAP certified. What needs to be done and what will you define in your future state so that you should be CBAP certified? Yeah. These are the things that will be required. You will have to assess the risks. When you move from current state to future state during those transition phases, right? You're not going to achieve that future state right in next month. It will take maybe many months, maybe many years. So during that phase, you are going to assess the risks also. you are going to, there will be a lot of risks that will surface over a period of time. You need to assess those risks and continuously monitor those risks. Okay. So natural phenomena. Finally, define the change strategy. So change strategy will tell you what kind of, how will you achieve, what are those milestones that you need to put in place to achieve that final goal of yours, right? Are there any alternative approaches? There can be many ways in which you can achieve that future goal of yours. So what is that best way to achieve that? This is where we will be talking about the business cases, and that's where the change strategy will be defined. Yeah. So this is an overview of strategy analysis. Let's quickly get into the details. So first is, so you all know, right? We have in every task, we have a certain format, right? We have a purpose, description, definition, and then inputs, then elements, guidelines and tools, techniques, stakeholders, yeah, and so on. The inputs that are required here is elicitation results that are in confirmed state. You should know what is required by the stakeholders. So whatever elicitation exercises that you have done primarily, I mean, I'm not saying that in detail, but you would have done some kind of exercise with them, right? You need that, and you also need the needs. And look at the output. You will get current state description and business requirements. This will tell you what we really want, what the business really wants. Okay, so that will be your output. This is an important slide. So how do we identify the need? So we need to look at where the need is coming from. From top, is it coming from your, that C-suite people, CIO, CFO? Most likely it will come from there. Is it coming from bottom up? Is it coming from the people who are working at the lowest level? Is it coming from them? It could be from middle management, where your managers need some kind of information, and then a new project starts. That's when strategy analysis begins, right? And then it can be from external drivers as well. So external drivers includes your competition, your government. It can be regulations laid by your government. Yeah, any kind of audit, those kind of things are part of external drivers that can initiate the need for a change, and that's how the project will start. So it's very important to understand where the need is coming from, and there may be a question around this. Okay, these are all your elements. So you need to identify business needs that we have already talked about. It can come from top to bottom, bottom to up, middle management.
Thank you for the wonderful explanation here. I just want to understand, because I am relating this page to two examples which you have told in the very beginning. One, if I want to cover my journey of CBAP from the current to future state, and other if it is a project. So for the project, I understood, but can you explain the top down and bottom up in terms of project, more little brief, and as well as for the journey for me to cover up the CBAP? That would be helpful.
Journey as in the CBAP journey? I mean,
yeah, CBAP journey. If we take that first slide, second slide's current state to future state, we have to have a change strategy analysis. Yeah.
So for the interest of time, I'll keep it very short. We will talk about projects. So it's something that is more relatable for all of us.
Sure.
Okay. So imagine there's a new product that needs to be launched. That kind of a decision is not made by people at lowest level. Correct?
Agreed.
Yeah. So that need is coming from, it's a strategic goal that we have to achieve because we want to stay in the market. We want to make profit. And that's why it is coming from the top, because they have that vision that probably this product that we launch is going to give us benefit, or maybe stability in the market. Could be any reason. Yeah. So that is coming from top. Now, is it clear how it comes from top? Most of the projects are coming from top only, right? Maybe in your company, right? All the projects will be coming from top. It can be from bottom up, some kind of problem that occurs at lower level, right? People are dealing with issue. They have got issues with probably their PCs, or they have problem with the softwares that they are using, the cloud that they are using. That kind of a problem is coming from bottom. Eventually, the decision will be made by top people only, your top line managers. But at least the problem is identified at the bottom, people who are working at the lowest level. Yeah.
It is clear now. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Middle management is fine, right? That you understand.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So these are your business needs. So when you are analyzing your current state, yeah, you have to analyze your current state. You also need to look at your organizational structure and culture. Structure as in the formal relationship between people, that shows through your organizational chart. That reporting structure that we have in our organization, that may limit a potential change. Remember that. You would have seen, if you have worked Typically I don't want to name those companies, but you all know, right? In India, we have these, what do you call them? Service oriented companies, right? The biggest ones. There you will see that, even for a small change, there is a reporting hierarchy. You have to cross that reporting hierarchy to get something done, right? That kind of organizational structure you need to look at. Is it limiting that change? Could it limit that change, right? We have capabilities and processes. Capabilities means what you can do best, okay? And processes means how you do it. So capability wise, how are you right now? If the new project comes, is your team capable of delivering it? Or do you need people who, so these days, I think the top capability is AI, right? AI, agentic, and then Gen AI and so on. Does your team have that capability? Look at that. You need to identify, right? At some point of time. Now, tomorrow project comes and, you just surrender. You say, oh, we cannot do this because we don't know this technology, right? So look at your capabilities. Look at technology and infrastructure, physical hardware, computer hardware, whether you're on cloud and those kind of things. Do you have enough infrastructure in your organization or enterprise to get going? You need to look at that. Now, in reality, I'll tell you, BAs at our level, as in people who are not working at enterprise level, we don't do this. Most of the people will finish their career doing just business analysis, as in what is mentioned in BABOK. Particularly not this part. This is done by people who come from top B schools and the big four, McKinsey's and KPMG and all consulting companies, right? That they're the people who do it. We need to look at the policies. Could be HR policies or any other policy that may limit the change. So imagine an example, your HR policy. Look at the time of COVID. You started with a new project, but the HR policy says that you have to come to office. Now the people are asking, post-COVID, people are asking, no, we want 50% work from home, right? So look at your policies. Are they limiting? Business architecture. Architecture means the different components that you have inside your business. So let's say you are a product oriented, a new startup, for example. There you'll be having a marketing department, you'll be having HR, you'll be having payroll, you'll be having finance department, you'll be having IT, you'll be having infra, right? All those admin and so on. Are these different units within your business supporting each other or not? Your people, your manager, for example, says that we want people, we want, we want to hire 5 new people in our team who know agentic AI in 2 months, within 2 months, and your HR is not able to find those guys. That simply means that your HR function in your organization is not supporting the IT function very well. Happens very naturally. Normally it happens. So look at your business architecture. How well it supports the different components in your business support each other. Internal assets. So these will include your financial resources, your patents. Patents is very important. Your reputation in the market. Those kind of things are your internal assets. External influences, very important. Factors that will constrain the change. These could be your competitors. There can be macroeconomical factors as well. For example, trade unions. You would have seen that in those manufacturing companies. Inflation could be part of that. Industry structure, suppliers, groupism, politics, regulatory environment. These can be your external influences. This is how you will analyze your current state. If you look at these, so when you're doing these, look at these elements. Yeah. This will help you in analyzing your current state. It's just an example. These are your guidelines and tools. So if you have read BABOK, I'm sure some of you have already read BABOK. Guidelines and tools are like your supplements. If you have it, it's a good thing for you. It will help you in moving forward. Yeah. So these are all your guidelines and tools. There are plenty of techniques that are associated with analyzing your current state. And these all techniques are listed in chapter number 10 in BABOK. Yeah. So there are 50 techniques in BABOK that you should master. Look at this SWOT analysis. So imagine you're analyzing your current state, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, understanding the opportunities that lie outside or the threats that lie outside of the organization. You would want to look at that. And that's why you should be doing SWOT analysis for analyzing your current state. Make sense? I mean, I touched on this because it's very obvious that this is something that you will do, definitely do. You might want to look at vendor assessment. You're working on cloud already. Let's say you have got Azure, but probably AWS is providing some kind of service which is demanded by your customers. So you may want to do that. You will obviously do workshops. You will do look at this mind mapping. Forget financial analysis. You will do, right? You will do document analysis, interviews with your stakeholders, maybe with external stakeholders as well. In business cases, these are obvious things here. These are all the stakeholders, literally all the stakeholders are here. Okay. Not literally, but in fact, all the stakeholders are here. This consists of all the BU depictors. Okay. So after you are through with this task, the output that you get is there are two outputs that you'll get. You will get the description of current state, which we call as current state description. It will talk about the scope, the capabilities, the culture of your organization, the dependencies, and you will also get business requirements. What are requirements? So this is a very basic thing that you will learn in chapter number 1 and 2 of BABOK. You will get business requirements, the problem or the opportunity that we want to address. Okay, so that's analyzing current state. Second is define future state. This is your second element. So we have analyzed the current state. We now have to define the future state. So future state means what are those necessary set of conditions that we want to meet, that the business needs. Determine the set of necessary conditions to meet the business needs. What are those? So input here is business requirement. Now look at this interesting part. This is coming from, does anyone remember? Where did you see this business requirement? Perfect.
In
It was the
elicitation?
output of the previous task. No, it was output of
Okay,
the
okay.
previous task, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we take that as an input and now look at the output. We will have future state description. We will have potential value. We will have business objectives. Interesting. We will talk about this when we are through with the elements. Then it will start making sense. Why potential value? Why business objectives? Okay. All right. These are the elements. Now you will see interesting thing here. There are a couple of overlapping elements here that overlap with the previous task. But let's start with the obvious ones. First is business goals and objectives. You should know what you want to achieve. That's going to be a business goal. So according to BABOK, and why just BABOK? Every other book says it has to be SMART goal. Okay. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time. That should be a goal. Second is scope of solution space. So what kind of options are you going to consider when investigating the possible options, including changes to the organizational structure or culture, capabilities, and processes? Those kind of things will be covered as scope of solution space. That is constraints. So even after you have achieved your future state, there will remain certain constraints. I mean, maybe after this session you can think about this. This could be because of policies. This could be limit on the number of resources available. You might have seen, right? We are going to have 5 members in the team only, even though how much work comes back to us. Yeah, there are certain limits that always remain there. These are known as constraints. It could be because of compliance or regulations. Yeah? So these are constraints. You need to define those constraints. Then organizational structure and culture. This is what we have seen earlier, right? So again, the same thing, but now the perspective has changed. Now we are going to define how our future state is going to look like when we will achieve it. What should it be like? Capabilities and processes. Same thing. Technology and infrastructure. Same, we have covered that. Policies. Do we need change in policies? What will be the new policy? Business architecture. Same. Internal assets. This is important. Identify assumptions. Internal assets also we have covered. Yeah. Look at identify assumptions. So, there's a very beautiful line. You will see this all across the book. The traces of this word called assumption. So whenever you have an assumption, you should always validate it. It should be clearly identified. If you are not able to validate, mark it as a risk. Okay. So it is often difficult or impossible to prove the delivery of a new capability will meet a business need, even though you have delivered the product. Whether it really meets the business need or not, sometimes it's not possible to say that. So there is a certain possibility that situation goes southward, right? You identify certain things in those cases. That's identifying the assumption. So you'll have to do it pre-hand, all right, when you're defining the future state. Finally, we have potential value. So potential value is what you are going to finally achieve. Having earning money or return on investment is not everything. Remember that. Potential value could also be because of mandated adoption of a change component. It could be sticking with the compliance, unknown strength of a partner, loss of your competitor in the market. It could be that also, right? So you will need to define what is potential value in your context. You'll have to define how do you perceive value as. Okay, it's not just finance is just one part of it. There are other things also. Okay, so that is your potential value. We'll not touch on this example. Now look at guidelines and tools. Your so when you're defining your future state, see your current state description can be used as supplement. It's not used as an input, even though part of its output is being used as an input here. That's fine. But you can always use that as a supplement. You can use metrics and key performance indicators, right? KPIs. You know? So because you have to achieve a goal, smart goal, some kind of KPI would be required in your case. And organizational strategy. Quite a lot of techniques are overlapping here also. Again, SWOT you will see organizational modeling, because there may be a change in your the future organizational structure of your organization. Benchmarking and market analysis, key performance indicators. So these are some obvious ones. Again, all the stakeholders will participate here. Okay. Now, what is the output here? Future state description, potential value, and business objective. Business objective will give you the direction that you wish to pursue. Potential value, we have already covered that, right? It can be in any form. And future state description will tell you the boundaries of the proposed new, removed, and modified components of the enterprise. The description that includes, your policies, resources, infrastructure, external influences, all those elements that we've got. That will in detail tell you about your future state description. Any question up till now? So we will talk about assessing the risks now. So what is a risk? Anyone?
Harsh, one question before we move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I have also seen, a few of these things, as part of a product manager's responsibility. For example, analyzing the market and
Yes.
benchmarking.
It is.
And
So is there a question around it? Akshay, go ahead.
I no, just want to understand
Yeah,
what
it's the
we are
same
discussing.
thing.
That is overlapping thing, right?
Absolutely. So what?
Okay.
So this is part of your career transition. I think, right? The first thing is to become BA. Once you become a
Mm-hmm.
seasoned BA, get all these certifications. You finally become a PO. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's a natural transition to a PO role.
Right. Right.
Okay, so we will
Okay. Yeah.
talk about risks now. So any kind of unforeseen, undesirable, any kind of event that has undesirable consequences is known as a risk. Okay. Now you may be thinking risk is it part of project management? Like uh, project managers do that, or is it BAs? BAs also do that. And as per BABOK, BAs do that. As per PMP, but there is a certain area where there's overlap. But I mean, it's always good to study and practice this. There are a lot of inputs here. I think this is the only task where we have got almost like 5 or 6 inputs. So we have got elicitation results that are in confirmed state. You need potential value that we have garnered from the output of a previous task. We have business objectives. We have influences, which are internal or external. We have the requirements that should be in prioritized state. And we have got designs that should be prioritized. The output is risk analysis results. Now, this topic in itself is not vast, and if you're only looking for exam, I'll mark it as important. Okay, I'll tell you what is important in this section. So we'll just quickly go through the elements. First is unknowns. So even if it is not possible for anyone to know what lies in future or what is going to occur in future, some kind of impact analysis can be done, maybe based on past experience, maybe based on gut feeling. Look at COVID, nobody knew that the kind of impact it will create. Yeah, so there will be certain unknowns, bear that. Second is constraint assumptions and dependencies. Guys, give me a moment. I think it's fine now. Remember, any kind of constraint that you have, any assumption that you have made, or any dependency that you have, they should be treated as a risk themselves. Anybody, and I'm sure most of you would have seen these things in Jira, right? When we create a user story or when we create some kind of Jira item, you would have seen, right? There's something called as RAID item, risk, right? Assumptions, dependencies, and issues, right? RAID item, it deals with that. Negative impact to value. You'll have to identify what kind of negative impact will it bring to that potential value that you were thinking of gaining? Yeah. What is the likelihood? What is the severity? What will happen what will be the consequences if the risk really occurs? What will you do then? So what is that negative impact to value? Now, this is very important. Risk tolerance. Risk tolerance means how much risk are you willing to take? That is the risk tolerance level. It's also known as attitude towards a risk. So it can be high, right? It can be low, it can be medium also, right? So as per BABOK, that tells you whether, so I actually wanted to, there was a question around it. I'm not able to recall that question. It's somewhere in Techcanvass question bank. Yeah. So according to BAPOK, there are three kind of tolerance levels. Yeah. One is risk aversion, one is neutrality, and one is risk seeking. Risk aversion means you completely want to avoid the risk. You just cannot take the risk. Yeah, that is known as risk aversion. There is neutrality, some amount of risk you can take on the condition that it should not result in a loss. Okay. And third is the risk seeking, willingness to accept more risk. That justifies that English proverb, right? Higher the risk, higher the gain. Yeah. So companies have this attitude. People have this attitude. You might have seen individuals, right? Some people are very risk seeking people. They will do startups. They will do everything. They don't care about risk, right? So this part is very important. You should know the risk tolerance. You will have questions around it. Then finally, recommendation. So PEBOK says that once you have analyzed the risk, once you have a risk plan, you need to recommend what needs to be done. So either you want to go ahead with the change, you want to pursue the benefit of a change while investing in reducing the risk as well. Yeah. Or do not pursue the change at all, like doing nothing. It could be that also. This is a typical risk charter example. Usually you will see this with project managers working on this. See, so this is your guidelines and tools. Stakeholder engagement approach can be helpful in finding the stakeholder related risks, identified risks that you have already identified, maybe from your previous projects, similar kind of projects that you have done. You can look at those project documents to identify that can be a supplement for you, right? So these all things can help. Here now look, future state description and current state description is being used as a guideline and tool and not as an input. So there you will find outputs may be used as an input for a task. They may be used as a guideline and tool also. All the techniques. So you can imagine this is an obvious one: risk analysis and management, financial analysis for dealing with risks related to finances, root cause analysis to identify the root cause of a risk. You may use this technique. These are the stakeholders. I'll tell you tricky, not tricky, but I'll give you a mnemonic for this. Okay. Whenever a risk happens, it really disrupts everything. Okay. It does, right? So the way to remember this is O and disrupt. The remaining is disrupt. Okay. O for operational support, domain subjected, domain SME, T, ISME, S supplier, and so on. Because for your exam, you should know input and output. You should actually memorize input and output. The guidelines and tools. Okay, let's not talk about guidelines and tools. Input and output is must. Your stakeholders are must. You should know stakeholders for every task and input and output for every task. That's mandatory kind of a thing. Okay. I tell all my students all the time, and they do. I mean, I've seen a couple of people doing that. They memorized all the things. So some of the things are very important to memorize. Finally, we'll talk about defining the change strategy. So the purpose is to develop and assess the alternative approaches to change and select the recommended approach. Yeah. So when we are building the change strategy, think of a business case, think of a statement of work, think of some kind of strategic plan that we are building. Okay. Now here we need current state description, future state description. These are the outputs of the first two tasks, right? Risk analysis results is the output of the third task that we just did. And stakeholder engagement approach. Where have you seen this? Has anyone, I'm sure you were answering, some of you have answered already. Where does that appear? Stakeholder engagement report.
In the very first chapter.
Perfect. That's chapter number 3. And the task is plan stakeholder requirement. Sorry, plan stakeholder engagement. Sorry, my bad.
And yeah, it's not first chapter, it's first knowledge area. Yeah.
It's first knowledge area, chapter number 3. Yeah. Okay. Solution scope. So whenever you see that word scope, it simply means boundaries. Okay. So what will that solution contain? Which new capability the change will deliver? Look at the solution scope from that perspective. What will be the capabilities? I had not opened BABOK, otherwise I would have shown you. It's actually a whole list of. It contains functions, your business rules, business decisions, what processes are going to change, what all resources are going to change, what will the sequence. There were things around workflows, organizational structure, all those things that will be part of solution scope. Okay. Then we have gap analysis. Gap analysis is the delta between your current state and future state. And remember, to perform gap analysis, your current state and future state both are important. Okay, both must be defined. So gap between what? It could be processes also. It could be between lines of business. It could be in the skill set. Yeah, it could be between within training, the facilities. You'll have to do delta between all these things. It's a whole exhaustive list. You don't have to memorize that list. It will naturally come out to you when you have read the book a couple of times. So gap analysis is important. Then we have enterprise readiness assessment, means whether your organization is even ready to do that, to bring that change, and not only to make that change, but to sustain it for a long period of time. Yeah. Does your organization have that readiness? You'll have to do that, enterprise readiness. Then comes change strategy. So it's a high level plan where you will see the key milestones that will be used to transform from your current state to future state. And finally, we have transition states and release planning. So anytime you're moving from your current state to future state, it's not going to happen suddenly. Yeah, it will take time, and you'll have to go through small phases. In IT, you will see this in the form of those release cycles that we have. It may be weekly, it may be bi-weekly, it may be monthly, and finally we reach that goal. Yeah. In your case, it could be, doing my first mock exam with Techcanvass, then another 15 days I'll take to do the second one. After 6 months, I'll be able to complete my CBAP, get certified, IAB certified MC. Yeah. So those are your transition states and release planning. These are the guidelines and tools, the techniques. Quite of them are overlapping, estimation. You will see business cases here. Yep. And these are all the stakeholders. Yes. So it's a very important knowledge area, not from the terms of exam. I mean, obviously exam you will have questions around it, but having an understanding of this, if you have got a fair understanding of this, you will then see, you can appreciate that, you understand the business well. Then you are a professional BA, I would say. Now, another thing is, when BABOK talks about this, they talk about this from enterprise context. Now, obviously, we have not worked at that level. You can bring it down to your project level, even to your team level. You can do this in individual level as well. You can bring it down. Yeah. So you don't have to really worry much about this. It's actually an easy chapter. All right. I think I've covered the topics. Do you want to see some questions? Want to give it a try? Yes, no?
Yeah.
This is just a mock exercise. You all can do it. Okay, now you actually don't have to calculate this. Just give me the approach that you're going to take. It's a math-based question, but simple question. Have a look at this carefully. You may have these kind of questions. Come on, guys, any thoughts? You don't have to calculate it right now. We have got only 10 minutes left. I would like to cover all the questions. So here is the build option. Here is the buy option. You will calculate it. So it's saying is has a one-time cost of USD this and per year maintenance. So 123 plus 1400 for the next 5 and 6 or 7 years, right? Yeah. So calculation is like this: 123 plus 1400 will give you this, and buy is this into this. Yeah. The same calculation is for 6 years, that the costs are same. So option B is incorrect. The calculation for 7 years shows that buy option will just be little more expensive than the build option. So option C is the best choice here. You can have a look at this later also. That's fine. Okay, try this. We haven't talked about hurdle rate today. It's part of financial analysis, which is under a technique. Okay, you can do this one. Try this. I won't be able to see the chat, guys. Can you just call it out? Just speak out. Is there somebody has answered something?
Yes. No, sir, I have just
Oh, I'm sorry.
shared our WhatsApp community group. I request everyone to join the community group from Techcanvass, where all you'll be receiving some updates, resources of business analysts. So if someone is not there in that group, I would request you to join the group. So you can find the link in chat box.
Option one.
The company will brainstorm and finalize the risk mitigation plans. The least likely response. Okay. Anyone else with a different opinion? What is the least likely response? Yeah. So look at the question carefully.
The risk is already out.
Sorry, come a bit louder, please.
No, option B, I think, because the risk is already identified.
Transfer the risk to one of its vendors. Is it?
No, I'm saying like option D.
D as in Delta.
Yeah.
The company will decide to accept and continue with the risk with a mitigation plan. Okay. So here we need to understand what is mitigation and what is contingency plan. Contingency, so mitigation is done pre-hand. Contingency is done when the event has already occurred. So what would you want to do in this case?
Contingency.
The least likely thing to do. Yeah. This is an unlikely response of the stakeholders. It does not do anything to mitigate the high risk impact risk because the score is high, meaning impact is also high. The mitigation plan will help in minimizing the impact or avoiding the risk, right? So never go with contingency plans. Contingency plan is like, you are doing in the 11th hour, not even 11th. After the card has been done, that's what we say in Hindi, right? So, yeah.
Correct. I was thinking it otherwise. Fine. Yeah, correct.
Option B.
To analyze the current state. What will be the first step Rajesh would take? Okay. B as in Bravo. Anyone else going with this? Or maybe A, C, and D? Okay, I'll give you one more tip. In general, okay, whenever you look at a question, get into this habit of thinking which knowledge area does it come from. The second thing that should automatically flash in your mind is which task is it? Is it 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, or 6.4 that it is talking about? And if you're very well read, you can even think on the lines of elements. Which element have I read here that relates to this scenario? Okay, we'll be quick. 3 minutes left. So you're saying this, okay? That's the first thing we do, right? When there's a new opportunity that comes our way. Okay, next one. Okay, read this question quickly and tell me. Again, it's a math-based, but pretty much similar to the other question that we had. And let me know what your answers are.
B.
By option. Okay, anyone else who differs?
Not B. D.
D, delta. Sufficient data is not available. What do you think? What's missing here?
Number of license. Previously, in previous questions, they said 100, right?
Perfect. Yeah. So expect these kind of tricky question. I mean, it's not really tricky, but in that nervousness of the exam, we don't read the full statement clearly. Yeah. So that may happen. Okay. Attempt this one.
Please understand the potential value.
Okay. Anyone else who has a different opinion?
D. D for delta.
To choose a valid option from multiple possible options. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. So here's a keyword in this question. Look at this. So he arranges a brainstorming session. What is brainstorming used for?
To get a collective, different opinion from the group of people.
New ideas.
New ideas, innovative ideas.
Now look at these options again.
Maybe A or B. Anything.
Comparison is done. There is a different technique for that. Understand the potential value associated with the change strategy is entirely different. Choose a valid option. So either A or B, right? I'll go with majority. Anyone?
B, I think.
A, you're saying?
B.
B. Okay. Let's see whether it's B. Yeah. Brainstorming is used for this purpose. Well, good attempt. This is a wonderful question. You will always remember this if you attempt it wrong. Trust me.
Option C.
Put the mitigation plan in action. Okay. Anyone else?
Option A.
A.
Yes. First thing to do, the next action taken by the company is to identify who will monitor the risk. Remember, a risk is such an area. You need to have somebody responsible for that. Who will monitor it? Those kind of things should be there. So that will be the first thing. I mean, obviously, these two things will also happen, but at a later stage. Okay. All right. That's it. Good attempt, guys. I think How many did you score? 7 out of 7. Okay, I helped you. Okay, so that was it. If you have any questions, you want to get in touch with me. My name is Harsh Jaira. It's mentioned over here. You can take the spelling. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can take my WhatsApp number from maybe Shambli reached out to you, or somebody, one of the project coordinators might have reached out to you, right?
Yes. So,
You can.
sir, 1 minute.
Hmm.
Yeah. See, everyone, this is Madhuri. I know most of you know me, but still, like I would be the person to connect regarding CBAP or CCBA for any further information. Like if you have any doubts, you can reach out to me so that I'll forward your doubts to Harsha sir. So I have shared my number in the chat box.
Okay, you can reach out to Madhuri. Sorry, Madhuri, we haven't worked together before, so I thought that because Shamli checked it with me whether you're free on 21st or not. So I thought maybe she's coordinating. Really sorry about that.
No, sir, no problem.
All right, guys. Hope you had a good time. You know, Friday evening, you're not partying out and spending time with a session like this. I think you are curious, and that's the first step, to be curious. Okay, so go ahead, have a good time, and get back to your studies from tomorrow morning. Yep. If you want to reach out to any of us, you have the numbers. Thanks a lot for joining. Have a good day ahead, and good night and a great weekend. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.